Okay, everyone is talking about AI. It's everywhere. News, podcasts, social media. We all use AI. We ask it questions. We generate images. We automate things. We joke around with it. People are either hyping it or fearing it. But when it comes to the environment, a lot of people have opinions. Very few people actually know what's really going on. So what's the truth? How much energy does AI actually use? How much CO2 does it emit? How much water does it consume? What happens to nature if we keep scaling this technology? And if we continue using AI at this intensity for the next 50 years, what will the planet actually look like? Let's break it down. If you're into honest deep dives about technology and the future of our planet, make sure to subscribe and drop a comment so I can keep making more videos like this. So before we even talk about the future, we need to understand where AI physically exists. AI doesn't live in the cloud. It lives in data centers. Gigantic buildings full of servers running 24/7. Right now, data centers consume about 1% of all electricity on Earth. By 2030, that number could reach 945 terawatt-hours per year, roughly the annual electricity consumption of Japan. Currently makes up around 5 to 15% of that load. By 2030, AI alone could represent 35 to 50% of data center electricity use. That's explosive growth. Now here's something most people don't realize. Training a large AI model like GPT-3, 175 billion parameters, used about 1,287 megawatt hours of electricity, produced around 502 tons of CO2. And that's just training. Using it daily also consumes serious energy. One ChatGPT query uses about 10 times more electricity than a standard Google search. And that's just one question. Now multiply that by millions of users every single day. But electricity consumption is only part of the story. The real question is what that energy translates into. In 2023, U.S. data centers emitted about 105 million tons of CO2. That's roughly 2.18% of total U.S. emissions. Almost as much as the entire U.S. aviation industry, around 131 million tons. Globally, data centers and cloud computing account for 2.5 to 3.7% of total greenhouse gas emissions. That's already slightly more than global aviation, which sits around 2.1%. Yes, the digital world emits more than airplanes, and demand is rising fast. By 2035, AI-related data center electricity use could hit 1,193 terawatt-hours annually. In the U.S., electricity demand could increase by 60 to 80% by 2050, largely because of AI and data centers. Without clean energy, that means a 19 to 29% increase in CO2 emissions from data centers alone in the next decade. But carbon emissions aren't the only invisible cost. Servers get hot, very hot, so they need cooling systems. Cooling systems use water, a lot of water. A single large data center can use up to 19 million liters of water per day. In 2023, U.S. data centers used over 66 billion liters of water. By 2027, AI data centers globally could consume around 6.4 trillion liters of water per year. That's about 6 times Denmark's annual water use. Now imagine building these facilities in drought-prone regions. You're not just cooling servers. You're competing with local communities and entire ecosystems for water. And none of this would even be possible without the physical materials that power AI behind the scenes. AI needs hardware. Hardware needs minerals. To manufacture a single 2 kilograms computer, around 800 kilograms of raw materials are required. That includes copper, lithium, cobalt, rare earth elements. Mining these materials often destroys ecosystems, contaminates water supplies, and displaces entire communities. And demand isn't slowing down. Some estimates suggest that in the next 25 years, we may need more copper than humanity has ever extracted in history just to support electrification and digital infrastructure. That's massive, but the environmental cost doesn't stop once the hardware is built. AI hardware becomes outdated quickly. Servers, GPUs, storage drives, most of it gets replaced. Less than 20 to 25% of global electronic waste is properly recycled. The rest? Landfills. E-waste contains lead, mercury, toxic chemicals. And those substances leak into soil and groundwater. AI infrastructure upgrades alone generate hundreds of thousands of tons of electronic waste, And that number keeps rising as models get bigger and hardware cycles get shorter. And there's one more thing most people don't realize. Data centers aren't small buildings. They can cover hundreds of hectares. Forests get cleared. Farmland gets converted. Ecosystems get fragmented. For example, Loudoun County in Virginia used to be known for forests and farms. Now it's packed with data centers and looks industrial. Each facility also needs high-voltage power lines, roads, backup systems. This fragments wildlife habitats. Meanwhile, mineral extraction for AI hardware destroys ecosystems elsewhere. So while AI feels invisible, its footprint is very physical. It's not the biggest polluter on Earth, but it is one of the fastest growing energy consumers. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous. So, what happens if we keep scaling AI at this pace over the next 50 years? Let's imagine 3 possible futures. First, the business as usual scenario. AI keeps growing exponentially. By 2030 to 2035, electricity use from data centers skyrockets. Emissions rise sharply if fossil fuels remain dominant. Water use intensifies. Mineral extraction expands massively. E-waste becomes a major toxic flow into ecosystems. By 2050, AI infrastructure could become one of the largest electricity consumers on the planet. Resource extraction accelerates biodiversity loss. Climate warming intensifies due to increased emissions. Nature becomes more fragmented. Water becomes more contested. Energy grids get overloaded. Now imagine we do this smarter. The smart transition scenario. Data centers run on renewables. Chip efficiency improves dramatically. Algorithms get smarter, needing far less compute. AI actively helps with climate modeling and protecting the environment. Right now, AI is already being used to detect wildfires, monitor illegal logging, track deforestation, identify endangered species, design more efficient wind turbines and batteries, optimize energy grids. In this future, AI becomes a tool for sustainability. It reduces waste and improves agriculture, optimizes water use, speeds up renewable energy deployment. Nature doesn't collapse, it stabilizes. Finally, the darker scenario, uncontrolled growth. Data centers continue running mostly on fossil fuels. Around 60% of their electricity still comes from coal and gas today. Models get bigger. Demand explodes. Resource extraction intensifies. The consequences: severe mineral depletion, massive water stress, explosive e-waste growth, accelerated biodiversity collapse, rising global emissions. AI, in this version, becomes an accelerant of environmental pressure instead of a solution. AI is a tool with a massive physical footprint. Right now, the future depends on energy policy, renewable transition, hardware efficiency, regulation, responsible scaling. If we do nothing, environmental pressure increases sharply. If we act intelligently, artificial intelligence could actually help save ecosystems instead of harming them. And yes, even asking AI random questions every day consumes energy. But the real impact doesn't come from one person. It comes from billions of users and massive industrial-scale AI deployment. So what do you think? Will we find sustainable alternatives? Do they even exist at the scale we need? Where is all this growth taking us? Can humanity keep up with the energy, water, and resource demands? And most importantly, will we use artificial intelligence to protect the planet? Or will it end up accelerating the damage? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you like this video, subscribe for more content. Thank you.